What fact is common knowledge in your field, but almost unknown to the rest of the population? An elevator will go up to the top of the hoist instead of crash to the floor in most catastrophic failures due to the counterweights. Powerful explosives are so insensitive to shock that it usually takes a smaller, more sensitive explosive to set them off. When a person flatlines, you cannot shock them out of it. The world runs on MS Excel. There is no fractured versus broken. There are only different types of fractures. It's really a semantic problem, but patients get heated about it. People, users, are the weakest link in most technology systems 99% of the time. Styrofoam is a brand name. It is polystyrene foam. Edit. Not to be that guy or anything. But goddamn. 3K upvotes. Generally speaking, if you add the percentage of the body covered in third-degree burns and the person's age together, you get the likelihood of it being a fatal burn. 32 and 40% burn coverage. About 70% of people in that condition will die. And #X200B. Source. Fiery. Working closely with several doctors from burns units. Edit. I love the 100-year-old people comments and the people with 0% burns but in their 30s lamenting the 40% death chance. A hysterectomy is removal of the uterus only, not the ovaries. The sensors in digital cameras, including phones, are monochromatic. They don't see color and have a tiny color filter on each sensor element so it can detect one of three colors: red, green, blue. Then the image is created by calculating what the other two colors might be based on one color value and the values of the nearest sensors around it. TLDR. 2/3 of the color in a digital photo is calculated from the 1/3 that is actual data. Those high-end or expensive neighborhoods they slap up really fast. Usually gated communities and other semi-exclusive suburbs full of McMansions are built with the absolute cheapest materials and poorest quality, untrained labor. Never buy a spec home without some serious research into what you're actually buying. All that luxury is barely surface deep. Eyeglass lenses are made of polycarbonate, a type of plastic, which is also the same plastic used to make bullet-resistant windows. Also, it does not shatter at all like glass. Despite what the MCU shows. It deforms more like metal. Plexiglass is plastic, not glass. And plexiglass is a brand name. The actual material is called acrylic. The hard plastic casings of electronics are made of ABS, which is a type of acrylic. Most public defenders are competent actually. When I worked as a barista, how much fucking syrup is in flavored drinks? At the cafe I worked at, we measured flavoring by grams. If you got a large mocha, that motherfucker would have like 110 grams of chocolate sauce in it. If you want a little bit of flavor, I suggest only 1 pump. 2 max. In archaeology, it's super awesome and great that you brought stuff to an archaeologist at a local dig site near you of things you found in your backyard or nearby asking us appraise it. But the thing is, we're actually more interested in the context the items are found. We want to see the bigger picture. Arrowheads, flint knaps, trade beads, etc. are super cool, but they are worth so much more when we can tell if they are part of a hoard, burial site, ceremonial site, etc. Cement and concrete are not the same thing. Cement is the main ingredient in concrete. But concrete is the whole mixture of cement, sand, aggregate, water, etc. Police can lie to you, including about whether or not they're police. Your calf muscles act as a pump for your lymph fluid, which is basically the garbage pickup and immunity DoorDash of your body. Without flexing your calf, the fluid has no way of moving against gravity. Each time we walk, the muscles contract, squeezing the fluid back up towards the core for processing. That's why sitting for long periods causes swelling in the legs. LPT. Sitting for long periods. Move your ankles up and down to pump the calf. Pain is effectively a psychological phenomenon and a terrible indicator of physical injury. Far too many people think the human body is a simple cause and effect model. It hurts, therefore something where the pain is located must be wrong. Instead, it is much more like a set of wildly complex, interdependent systems like climate or stock markets. A lot of medical diagnosis is educated guessing with an over-reliance on singular labels for the benefit of explaining the situation to the patient. Lawyers can fix almost any mistake, fuck up, blown deadline in state court and almost never in federal court. Lab-grown diamonds cost $2 per quart of electricity to grow. The value price has absolutely plummeted on them the last 2 years. Most especially the last 8 months. Don't overpay on them as they all perform. One CTS currently $600 to $800. So for the first time in the history of the jewelry world you can officially buy moissanites from high-end brands that are more expensive than their lab-grown diamonds of same quality. Open mouth smile. The amount of people robbed of value the last 2 years is in the millions and dollar amount. Unfathomable. Had a guy as recent as March spend $24,000 on a 3-quart lab-grown online when I was finding them for $5,500 at the time. Places are rushing to make money back from buying in bulk. There will be a documentary about this someday. People make most decisions based on emotion, then rummage around for logic to back up what they've already decided. It takes a small army a week to shoot a 30-second commercial. Volumetrically, most rocks are made of mostly oxygen. Most of the entire Earth, crust and mantle, is also nearly half oxygen. By mass. If you've ever read, Oxygen Discovered on Moon, ... It's rocks. It means they've discovered rocks. I work in acrylic sheet. The amount of people who do not understand what translucent means is astounding. Translucent equals transparent. Translucent is solid color that allows light transmission, it glows. Transparent is just that. Transparent. We have customers call us all the time, telling us we filled an order wrong, that they received a solid color and ordered translucent red. In movies they unnecessarily yank on horses' reins, practically ripping their mouths out. Anytime you see their mouths open with the bit pulled way back in there, they're not having fun, and it's for no reason other than maybe drama, and the trainers are shitty for letting that happen. In any given nature documentary, the protagonist animal you're rooting for is played by several different actors, i.e. that one brown bear's story is patched together from footage of a bunch of different bears. And in about 90% of the animal reacting shots, they're reacting to the camera crew. Nature documentaries are heavily constructed. If a website is slow, there's a big change. It's not because the developers did a bad job, but because marketing insisted on putting dozens of trackers and ads on it. Credit and debit are different. I could not believe how many people did not understand this. When you go out to clubs or any place with some sort of strip, aka Broadway in Nashville, the volume is 11 times out of 10 too loud. I work at Barstool occasionally as AV, and at night it's gotten up to 110 to 115 dB. For reference, the threshold of pain is 120 decibels. Wear hearing protection, people. You can't get that shit back. The is there to keep you from having a catastrophic outcome in the next few hours, days, or next few minutes. In some cases, if nothing irreversible is going to happen for several days, they don't really care what the problem is. If you have sad vegetables, carrots, celery, or lettuce that look wilted, not bad, you can make them crunchy by shocking in ice water. Trees do not heal through regeneration like people think they do. They quite literally just grow over it. The tree can close the wound off in a way not really visible to us, but it will never grow back that same tissue in the same way like we would when we cut ourselves. It would be like growing a second layer of skin over a cut and never really healing the cut. Your body would make it stop bleeding, but you'd always be able to see your cut if you peel the layers of skin that grew over top. Trees are like onions. Just like ogres. They have layers. I always think of a jawbreaker when I work with trees. Did anyone get my Shrek reference? I should go to bed now. A traffic light changing colors at an intersection involves lots of math. The amount of time it stays as a yellow light followed by it turning red, at which point all directions will be red for a period of 1 to 3 seconds, is all done by specific calculations. Everything is taken into consideration for it when all the lights are red for that brief second. How many meters, feet is the intersection? What is the speed limit versus the actual traveling speed? Average amount of cars that pass that spot in an hour. Following distance. The grade of the road, if it's on a 1% incline, it'll be different timing than if it were on a 2% incline. It's not the CIA or the government that's tracking your every move. It's marketing agencies. Your mailman knows a lot about you. More than you think. Programming. Hacking. Many companies pride themselves on being extremely secure and unhackable. To an extent, they also advertise that if you use their service, your assets are super secure and nothing could ever happen. In reality, everything can be exploited. Nothing is completely safe, and nothing probably will ever be completely safe. Another one which I really wish more people knew is that anyone who encounters a person that calls themselves a hacker, all of a sudden becomes scared of their capabilities. I better not piss this person off, otherwise they'll ruin my life. In reality, only a small portion of hackers actually have the knowledge to do something that would influence your life in a very bad way. Most people who call themselves hackers barely know anything and can only pull off a few tricks others find very intimidating. The biggest tool these types of people have are scare tactics, using simple tricks that others find very intimidating can get them very far. Don't get me wrong though, you do get hackers who can influence your life in a very big negative way. But it's very rare, and most of the people who have this knowledge don't care enough to put in the effort to hack you unless you're someone very important. A lot of people think that commercial aircraft fly themselves. In truth, all takeoffs are flown manually by the pilots, as are the vast majority of landings. The autopilot is advanced in a lot of aircraft, but it also screws up often and without warning. Water is destructive. We just want to make it all drain at a reasonable velocity along largely historical flow lines to the closest inlet. Being nice and patient will give you a bigger chance of getting a refund or a new of whatever is broken, than being angry and blaming the random worker.